August 18th meeting of the Town Council. If you kindly rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The announcements that I have are Town Hall office will be closed on Monday, September 5th for the observance of Labor Day. And the only other ones are our next three regular meetings will all be held here in the Matthew Thornton Room. It's Thursday, September 8th, Thursday, September 22nd, and Thursday, October 13th, all at 7 p.m. Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can't believe we're talking about Labor Day already. Speaking of Labor Day, come and celebrate Labor Day weekend with the Parks and Rec Department and the final free movie night of the summer. We will be showing the movie Sing 2 at Wasserman Park. The movie begins at 7:30 p.m. on Saturday, September 3rd, and will have free popsicles for all attendees. Movie night is sponsored by the Lions Club of Merrimack and Comcast Xfinity. As of September 20th, the planning board meetings will now start at 6:30 p.m. This is a change. Their normal start time was 7 p.m. They're changing the start time now to 6:30 p.m. for planning board meetings. This was decided in early August at a board vote.
Great. Thank you. Comments from the press or public, if you'd like to address the council, you can do so. I think at the table. It looks like the mic is missing. Just the table. Hi, Lori. How are you?
That comes back to you.
Geez. Hello, Lorraine Allen, 16 French Court. I just wanted to first of all thank you for all your work on the grant program for private well owners in Merrimack. And I wanted to let you know that in June, I was at the meeting, the national meeting in North Carolina, where the EPA made their announcement of the new recommendation for health advisory. As you may recall, when we started this mess, they followed and deferred to the EPA health advisory of 70 parts per trillion. New Hampshire then reviewed the health science for humans and lowered it to 12 parts, PFOA alone. So the EPA comes in and does their review of the most recent science for humans. And I did do a breakout session with them with some heavy-duty science people there who asked some very rigorous questions as to how they arrived at that figure. So their health advisory is 0.004 parts per trillion. So that is not a maximum contamination level, because you cannot regulate what you can't test for. It's below detection. So you know, I wanted to let you know in person and see if anybody had questions about that. The word on the street is, you know, when they start the MCL process in a couple of months, the assumption is somewhere between 4 and 10 parts is where they should land. You can't really regulate less than 4 properly across the nation. So why I think this pertains to us in particular is, you know, when we started this journey for private wells and public well owners, it was a question of what level is, quote, safe to drink, right? And that's come down over the years. And now we have the latest science saying do not drink PFOA and PFOS. So I don't know what the time frame is for your grant program. I know the state program is until the money runs out. And I don't know if you have a beginning and an end date for this, but I would just caution you to keep in mind that over the next year, we're going to see federal MCLs, and I'm concerned that that may create some confusion for residents, because the wells now that are on the list within the consent decree were told in 2019 their water was safe, only to find out, oops, don't drink it. And you know about the folks outside the line, they're feeling pretty strongly. So we have a lot of moving parts here in the next year, in the next few months. A lot is going to be happening, even on the regulatory in terms of toxic release inventory and things like that. There are a lot of things in play that are going to, I think, hopefully give us some power that we need as a community and as a state. And I just wanted you to know that. And if there's any questions that people have now or in the future, I feel pretty equipped to answer them, strangely enough, at this point. So.
Thank you, Lori.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thanks, Ron.
John, I know you had something you want to say, and because the meeting will be relatively short, normally if it doesn't deal with an agenda item, you wait till the end, but if you'd like to address the council now? No, no, feel free. If you'd like, feel free.
Thank you. Name's Johnny DeBellis. I reside at 62 Meeting House Road here in Merrimack. The last meeting I attended was, I believe, July. I approached you people as far as Watson Park, where the fence had been installed during the pandemic, and problems not only in that area but throughout other areas within the town. No other problems have started in other areas of the town, and since the fence was open for about 3 weeks now, there have been no problems down there. There are some things that should be addressed. Water quality was one of them. And I took upon myself as a volunteer to take water samples down to the waste treatment to be tested. And they are a little bit high, but within state ranges. They're not super high, it's because of the drought. But the water is running. And the biggest thing is don't drink the water, which I think if you have a backyard pool, you wouldn't want your children or even you drinking the water in your own swimming pool. Mr. Finley, I don't dare try your last name with my new dentures, so I don't want to say it wrong. And Paul has about the signs down there. They got it in hand, so I'm going to just butt out and act smart. There had been a trash problem down along the water and so forth. One of you on the committee knows about Adopt a Spot, such as in Adopt a Road, which I happen to belong to. I have ever since it was established. I have a number of volunteers and some suggestions that will be brought up in another time. It's almost the end of the season, and it's under control at this moment. But the season's been lost, and of course, nobody has really been using the facilities at its fullest because of the closure and not knowing that it's open at this time. Oh, grapes. It was an Eagle Scout project. I know I'll never say this word, starts with a P. It's like a trellis.
Pergola.
Thank you too much. So if I need that word again, would you please help me out? There's
The young lady will do it.
Thank you too much. I thought it'd be nice, I was a Boy Scout active back in the 50s. In fact, we held Boy Scout meetings up in this one. It was when the gymnasium
Gymnasium.
first in town. I don't know, well, the Scout is probably a grown man now that constructed the thing, but I was gonna look into the Boy Scout group to help plant some grapes, which can be gotten at no cost. I know there's a saying, restrictions on how deep you can dig and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But to sit under there on a picnic table with the sun just beaming down, it'd be nice. And they'd be seedless grapes. They'd be of good quality in case a child picked one up and whatever. And before I looked into having it started, I passed it by you people, the pros and cons. Sure, I'm not going to get an answer tonight. I just threw the package at you. In the near future, perhaps you could come and let somebody know. That's basically it, because there's one other thing, and Finley and also Paul have it. It's in the future, so I'm not going to waste you people's time. I did want to thank you on behalf of the townspeople that are utilizing the facilities down there. Thank you very much. And I hope you and your families all have an enjoyable weekend and holiday weekend coming up. Thanks.
Same to you.
Thanks, Johnny. All right, very good. We'll move on. Next item is recognitions, resignations, and retirements. And the first item on the agenda is the recognition award we're going to be giving to school resource officer, Detective First Thomas Prentice, in recognition of his retirement from the Merrimack Police Department after more than 21 years of full-time service to the town of Merrimack, from November 2nd, 2000 to June 30th, 2022. And for his recognition, he'll be getting a plaque. He's not able to be here this evening. And I would generally read here we go. The plaque will say, presented to SRO Detective First Thomas M. Prentice upon the occasion of your retirement in recognition of the loyal and dedicated full-time service which you have contributed for more than 21 years to the Merrimack Police Department. Your dedication and devotion to duty has been a tremendous asset to the town of Merrimack. We wish to extend to you our sincere appreciation for your outstanding performance of duty, November 5th, 2000 to June 30th, 2022, presented by the Merrimack Town Council and the town manager. And he seems like a baby to be retiring so young, I have to say. But I was participating, the school district, in order to get the resource officer, had to have a group that kept statistics on how things were trending with the education program programs they were implementing. And I got to meet with him periodically, and the kids did love him. They called him Opie, and I didn't know if that's because wasn't Ron Howard Opie in the TV show, but I didn't think the kids would know that show because it was back in the 60s, so I'm not sure. But no, I know that, but I didn't know if they got the humor of the whole thing for me. So, but anyhow, so yeah. All right. Pardon me? Yeah. There you go. Is that where it is now? All right. So the next item under recognitions, resignations, and retirements is the council present a recognition award to Brian Friole in recognition of his retirement from the Merrimack Public Works Department after more than 37 years of full-time service to the town of Merrimack. May 6th, 1985 to August 12th, 2022. And employees with 30 years of service will receive a Boston rocking chair with a town seal upon retirement. And I didn't realize Brian had been here that long. That's a long time.
And he got his chair and he's happy to be in it.
He does have it. Perfect. What do you get for 40 years? Oh, nobody does. I'm just thinking he should have stayed 3 more years.
No, you still get the chair, but you also get a gift certificate.
Okay. Thanks, Paul. All righty. Well, I wish them both extremely well. Oh, did they? Okay.
By the way.
Oh, yes. Thanks, Nancy. Andy Hunter has been excused for this evening. Sorry about that. All right. Next on the agenda, appointments. For Town of Merrimack Charter Sections, Article 6, Section 6, at least annually, there should be a review with the Heritage Commission. The agenda item is to highlight the commission's significant actions, current projects, anticipated actions, and to raise any concerns the council should know about or act upon.
They are not here
I was
tonight.
going to say, I didn't see anybody
They
here.
called
Delay.
earlier today, and asked if they could be postponed. There's been
Okay.
some illness in the committee, so they really didn't get a chance to meet to be able to present
very
tonight.
good.
So they asked if they could be put on a September agenda or October, and we said sure.
So whatever works. Okay.
Yeah.
Very, thanks, Paul. Thanks, Nance. Next item is a public hearing. The council will hold a public hearing to consider the acceptance and expenditure of an ARPA grant in the amount of $2 million made available through the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services to be used towards the Phase 5 upgrade at the wastewater treatment plant pursuant to RSA 31:95B and Charter Article 8, Section 15.
I'm just
So
going to preclude this to say Sarita will talk all about this, but this is really a housekeeping item
Yes.
that was related to the vote that happened in April.
So this, I'm sorry, Sweetie.
Sorry.
There's no need to have a vote on this. This is just a public hearing
Well, we're going to have a vote
for the signing of the.
for acceptance of
Yeah.
it. But this is a public hearing for the public to
Yep,
talk to us about it, as well as because of the dollar amount, $2 million.
very good.
My turn.
Hi, Sarita.
Hi, how are you? Thank you
I'm
so
well.
much for letting me come.
Thank you for being here.
So as part of the Phase 5 upgrade, we applied for, and we will be receiving a $2 million grant to help offset the costs associated with the project. As part of the process, we need to not only accept the grant, but the town manager needs to have permission from town council to sign the grant agreement and also to sign any and all other agreements associated with this grant, as well as communicate on behalf of the town council to New Hampshire DES on, or his representative to New Hampshire DES on this grant.
Okay.
That was it.
Perfect. I did have on the paperwork,
I know.
no, it's going to be a much shorter than I
That's
anticipated.
not a complaint, is it?
No, no, that was a congratulations.
Sarita, on item 1.15, the grantee phone number, is that a correct phone number?
No, it's not. We'll make that.
And then,
Good catch.
Wow.
Chair.
that's why, after I asked, there's no real need to have a vote. I knew better than that, but it already
Oh,
came out
sorry
of my
about
mouth,
that.
so I
Yeah.
couldn't say.
I was asked, we got a new extension.
Well, I thought it was possibly her first three of her cell phone and just kind of wrapped around it somehow. I didn't know, but,
The 2 and the 7 are pretty much.
yeah.
Same.
And then I was just wondering, and actually it's probably not too important, but the prohibition on certain telecommunications and video surveillance services or equipment. Do you know, show me what that's about? An item, and I'm sure it's just boiler language is my guess, but,
So I believe all of this is boilerplate in the backup. And I'll be
Okay.
honest with you, I don't.
okay.
I'm sorry.
No, not at all. I just was looking at it, just,
So which page are you on?
it's 3 of 8.
Um,
It's, I don't think it's a real big thing. I was just curious as to what it was, so.
Oh, so we are not using the money to get any telecommunications equipment, any computers or anything like that. We're using the money to actually build the screenings building.
Oh, okay.
So that basically means we could not use it for that, is what they're saying.
Correct. You cannot use it. for that.
Actually, what they're saying is there's 2 companies that are on the do not buy list, and they're prohibiting you from buying from those 2 companies.
Oh, is that the,
Yeah, I won't even go with.
So it's a non-issue for us.
it's a
Yeah,
non-issue.
it's a
We're
non-issue
using
because
it
we're not
for-
going there, but every now and then the federal government will say, you cannot do business with this company or this company. They're on the
Interesting.
do not buy list. And
Blacklisted.
There
huh?
it is.
yeah, and that's part of it too.
Very good.
Well, no telecommunications.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or anything? And I'll open the public hearing at 7:25. If you would like to address the council on this, you have to sit next to Sarita and join her at the microphone.
As the crowd rushes.
And if I didn't say we opened it at 7:25, that's what I meant to say. And seeing nobody approaching the table, we're going to close the public hearing at 7:26. And now what is the pleasure of the council? Sure.
Move whatever's needed. No, move to accept the grant and authorize the town manager to sign any and all documents and follow up with DES as necessary to fulfill the requirements.
A motion by Tom Koenig, seconded by Nancy. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstained. It's 6-0.
Which Nancy? I'm sorry.
Murphy.
Yes, Murphy.
Murphy?
Doggone.
I thought it was
Touche.
you, but I was reading.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarita. I've lost my cover stuff. Here we go.
Legislative update.
Got it. Is that what it is? Legislative updates next on the agenda? I didn't check my email. Did anybody? Nobody did?
No, they're too busy campaigning. It's busy,
Off season. And of course, yeah.
as well as that, that's right.
Town manager report?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to update you on a project that started at Watson Park. The deck replacement project for the access bridge at the east end of Watson Park began on Tuesday. The work includes removing the guardrail, removing the existing deck timbers, installing new deck timbers, and reinstalling the guardrail. This project is expected to be completed by September 9th. And it was an interesting, we went out for a quick bid. A lot of those timbers were rotted. We went out for a bid, not a quick bid, but a bid. And one of the companies, Audley, who won the job, said, I'll give it to you at this price because it's going to keep my crew working.
Very nice.
And it was significantly less than one of the other bids, and even the next lowest bid. So we said, okay, we signed it, and that will replace the timbers. Many of you may know that back in one of the Mother's Day floods and the 500-year flood that we got in town washed out that bridge. And that was basically a project that was done with FEMA. The 6x8 timbers that are there started to show a lot of wear and tear. We bring the big Vector truck over that because it's part of the sewer line. There's a manhole on the other side. And I walked it, and I'd be scared to bring the Vector truck over it. It's just grateful that we can get this project done. And we'll be using pressure treated lumber, so it should last a lot longer in this time through.
Where was this again? Where-
This is, Watson Park going out towards Jack Longa's property, that bridge, that access bridge,
Oh, it's behind the fence?
behind the fence.
Is it
yeah.
our bridge or?
It's our bridge.
Oh.
We own the easement going out
To
on
get to
that.
the
That's
sewer.
our bridge.
Isn't it to get to the sewer?
Yeah, it's our sewer line out there.
Yeah.
And it goes over Babuzik Brook.
Right,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
Yes. For all those people who are interested in working for the town of Merrimack in the Highway Maintenance Division, Equipment Maintenance Division, or Wastewater Division, we have 9 vacant positions in those departments. A total of 9 vacant positions. If interested, working for the town of Merrimack with great benefits, a retirement system, please visit the town website at merrimacknh.gov underneath Human Resources to apply for these positions. They range from equipment operator 1s to mechanics, to mechanic 2s, to just about everything under the sun. We have a couple mechanic positions we're looking to hire at equipment maintenance. We have a couple of mechanic positions we're looking to hire at wastewater. So we have some openings that we are looking to fill, and we have several equipment 1 operators that we're looking to fill. So please look at the town website for requirements of the job.
Well, and if I might add, we talked earlier about Brian Priolet
Yeah.
retiring after 37 years with the town of Merrimack. So,
Right.
I mean, at least some people are finding it a wonderful place to work. And I think Merrimack's got a lot to offer, and people should be interested. And we certainly welcome them to apply.
Yes. I received a phone call today, and I haven't called the person back, but I want to let the council know and the community, from Goulder Associates, who are working with St. Cobain. They asked me if we have a location where the Monadnock could drop off water for our residents to pick up. And I currently do not know of a location with their requirements that they need, but just stay tuned. Residents, if we are becoming a pickup location for water, it will be put on our website, and we'll get it on our Facebook page and other social media events too. I got a call with the woman tomorrow, but just wanted to seem pretty pertinent what we're talking about.
Are they alluding to any special requirements to be able to get the water?
I don't know any of that stuff. I believe that it's those people that are over the limit that's inside the
Inside, not
red,
outside.
the red line area. They asked that we have a fork truck. And the only place I have 2 fork trucks. One's at highway and one's at solid waste. And I really don't think we want to be picking up
No.
water at solid waste. So that's why I have a call tomorrow with her.
And just understand, up to this point, they've been delivering. the
I
water.
understand that too, and it's not our responsibility to get these people the water. But if it's to get clean drinking water to the Merrimack, people in Merrimack, we'll see what we can do.
Nancy?
I think, in some of the calls I've been on, I think part of this is in response to the challenges for community members who've been trying to get water and have not had timely deliveries. And so I know some other towns are looking at that, although I certainly have my thoughts about whose responsibility it is to provide that service.
Oh, yes.
But I'll be interested to hear what happens with the call tomorrow.
But I just wanted to get it out to the public that we are looking at that for anybody who's in the defined red consent decree.
Maybe they could start looking at private business warehousing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if they're looking for a community pickup site, it doesn't have to be municipal. It can be private. And they can hire people to manage that warehouse for distribution.
That too.
We'll see what they talk about though.
Yes.
There's sites. There are sites available.
Yes.
So
That's all that I have.
I didn't know if I was supposed to ask her to repeat that, so I'll wait. So, okay, thanks, Paul. There's nothing on the consent agenda. Under number one, under old business, the council to discuss the Merrimack Private Well Owners PFAS Grant Program reimbursement policy for the reimbursement for the installation of a point of entry system or point of use system or a hookup to Merrimack Village District Public Water Supply.
I received a call from the state of New Hampshire DES about the PFAS removal rebate program for private well grant. As you know, we started this process back to get the ball rolling because the state was only offering $1,500 per participant. We went in for a $6,500 grant for our Merrimack residents to connecting public water supply, point of entry system or a point of use system. And then the state with ARPA money came back and now they upped their reimbursement to $10,000 for anyone connecting to a public water supply and a $5,000 reimbursement for a point of entry system and a point of use system. The reason for the call with the state was to see if the town of Merrimack was still interested in applying for this grant. That we started the process back in April to see if we were still interested in it. Due to the fact that the state did up their money. I'm here tonight basically to ask the council what their desire is. Do we want to continue with our own grant as well as the state of New Hampshire grant? Or do we just want to use the state of New Hampshire grant? And I did a quick summary of, like I said, for the state, they're reimbursing up to $10,000 for connecting to public water, $5,000 for POET and the point of use system. The state has a list of homes over the ambient groundwater quality standard limits. The state will test before installation to verify over the limit and after installation showing that the installation is working as needed. The one drawback that I saw when I looked through all the paperwork is you need to be a state vendor, but the state handles everything. Reimbursement, the whole 9 yards, it's directly with the resident or the property owner. You can only apply for one grant if one way or the other. That's still one rule. For the town, we were reimbursing up to $6,500 for connecting to a water public supply or a point of entry system or a point of use system. The owner will be required to provide proof showing that the property is over the AGQS limits. The property owners will be required to provide proof after the installation showing that the property is below the AGQS limits. And then the town will have to reimburse the property owner once all the paperwork is in, and then we'd have to go to the state to get our money refunded to us, up to the $1,100,000 grant that we applied for. And of course, only one, you can only apply for one grant. It's either if the town has it for the town or the state has it, it's the state. One of the issues is that MVD, we sat on a call, and Nancy, maybe you know more about this than I do right now. We sat on a call with MVD, and there was another grant that would help them to extend water, and they were looking into maybe extending water to certain areas. However, it was only like $1.5 million, so they wouldn't even get a mile of line in. And then we said, well, if they get that mile of line in, does that mile of line also include hooking up those homes, or can the homeowners get the $10,000? And I don't know if a final determination came down on that. I haven't heard from Amy on that. But Amy's really called me and looking, New Hampshire DES called and really is looking for whether or not the state wants to move forward with the application for the grant that we started back in April.
So based on what you're trying to do, if you're trying to hook up to MVD, you're better to go with the state. But if you just want to put in a POE, you're better off with the town, right?
Well, it depends on how big a POE system you have. When I did my research, I think one of the most expensive point of entries was around $4,000 all in. But then if you go through the town, you got to have the testing before and the testing after. If you go through the state, they're doing the testing for you.
I wholeheartedly believe that we should go forward with the town program for a couple of reasons. One, that the money has been earmarked solely for the use of our community for Merrimack. So that $1.1 million can only be used by us. And if we do not go forward for this, that money gets returned to the state to be disseminated throughout the state. When the money runs out, it runs out. So in my mind, $10,000 for connection to public water supply sounds great. The challenge with that is that we have a number of areas in town that people may want to get hooked up, but there's no water line nearby. So we had a few calls and meetings about, okay, how do we prioritize maybe the MVD hooking up, certain areas, maybe over by Greatstone or up off of Natticook, and to try to get as many homes or the most contaminated areas hooked up as quickly as possible to allow people to do that. The challenge is that sounds great, but if you can't access water, it's meaningless. And then the state offers a lower reimbursement rate than we do. I feel that that $1 million is not a ton of money. It sounds like a lot of money, but we have a huge impact area here. And there's nothing that precludes both programs from remaining in place for people here to choose which one they want to go with. And I feel like it would be a mistake to return money to the state that we don't need to. If it's not used by us, it never comes to us. So the state doesn't lose anything. I'd be disappointed to see us lose an opportunity for our citizens that, and as Laureen talked about, these numbers are going down. We're going to have more people impacted, and whatever happens in legal circles and outside of that, we have a lot of people that are looking for some help, and I feel like this is a rebate program that we talked about before the state put their program in, and I really hope that we continue to support this going forward, because I think we have a lot of people that will take advantage of it. Like other things PFAS related, people don't always know ahead of time what they may need until they hear from a neighbor or get a letter that says your neighbor's well was contaminated and you may want to check. And I think there will be good use of this. And between the state's program and the town's program, it opens up opportunities rather than, so anyway, that's my spiel.
Tom?
No, that's fine.
So there's a couple of questions. One is the town's program going to cost the town to manage it and maintain it above and beyond, or is it come out as part of that 1 point whatever million?
I think we have $1 million for reimbursement of the residents. I believe it was like $72,000 to cover grant cost.
Okay. And I guess the other issue I have, and you may have answered that for me, Nancy, is the person can still choose one way or the other, right? So there's not a lot of loss to the town going ahead with this program. It's not like if the town goes forward with this program, they can't apply to the state for the 10,000 public water, and go that way. I think the advantages of the state, as you pointed out, Paul, is that they do the testing before and after, and they handle all the paperwork and everything, and nobody has to get involved. And whether hiring a state vendor is a deal or not, I don't see why that would be a particular problem. But obviously, there's some overhead and some expenses and trouble that we'd have to go through to manage the program in the town, and that's why we're here, is to help people in the town. But it's something to consider, that and their own extra grief that they'd have to go through to deal with testing and handling all the proofs and all that kind of stuff.
Thanks, Tom. Nancy?
There's certainly a pros and cons along the line. I really don't see, probably the only down that I can see is that the town is going to use resources, but we're going to be reimbursed some of it. And that's really the only down, in my opinion, to keeping both. Obviously, the participants are going to have to get some education in terms of the options. If there's an MVD line near them, then obviously you should steer them to the state, because they can get the public water connection money where the town does not. Maybe we can develop a handout for them to fill out the circumstances. This would be better for you, a decision tree type of thing.
We actually, if somebody calls, we actually send them up to DES and have them talk to DES.
Okay, perfect.
Because they're more versed in it
Yeah.
than somebody else, but we do send it up to DES for them to handle it, because they know what their program is and they'll know what our program is too.
Yeah. And I was really waiting for you, Nancy, for your opinion too, because you're the expert here. And you've certainly made those points well made. And again, the only disadvantage is a minor one. Is it inconvenient for the town that they're going to be having to do some work? Yeah. But is it overburdening? No. So I would suggest that we maintain both, that we go for the town and then work with the state for the state. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't realize that we could do both. It's not that I read it, but I just probably assumed that we had to do one or the other. I didn't know we could continue both. In doing both, my only concern when I thought we had to do one or the other, is if we went to the state, I didn't know what their pile of cash was. I didn't remember. If we run with both, we have less opportunity of running out of cash for our citizens. So I think the talk of doing, making them understand if the state is able to do that, that would be good, because along.
Thank you. I have some reason to agree with Councilor Murphy's understanding of the time factor in extending water lines. I have some experience with understanding the detriment against that in terms of what kind of costs there are in just digging a ditch for the pipe. And given the angst that we've all heard and experienced over the last 3 years now or more, I agree with Councilor Murphy. I also agree with Councilor Harrington in terms of not cutting off our nose to spite our face and keep both programs viable for our residents. Thank you.
Nancy?
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to say that was one of the things that Paul and I considered when we were talking about what the ask was going to be for this grant. And we were informed by Amy at DES that the town could be reimbursed for the maintenance of this whole program and coordination of it. So that was included as an expectation that it would require some work. I'd be happy to work with anybody in the town hall to create maybe some direction around how people can make that decision. And as Paul mentioned, DES has on their website, how people can make a decision. Do you want a poet, or do you want a point of use, or whatever? So that's certainly good guidance for that part. I know prior to the state program, this all finally getting finalized, I was discouraging people from going to the state program because we didn't know what the numbers were going to be. We didn't know what the reimbursement rate was. And by taking advantage of that, it would preclude them from taking advantage of this. So I think it would just be helpful if we know that we're going to go forward with this, that this information gets out to people, as you said, so they'll know what the options are. And I see it as a good opportunity. It's unfortunate that we even have to be doing this, but and it's
We're
unfortunate.
also lucky to have the availability.
Exactly. Yeah. And as Lon said, part of the issue with our water lines is no matter how fast MBD works, the cost is exorbitant for 1 mile of pipe. That would take our grant would be 1 mile of if that were what we were funding. In which you look at this town, there's a lot of wells impacted, and that certainly wouldn't cover it. So that would be my I don't see a downside to having two options in place, and if people are informed, they can make the right decision for their own well.
So what do we need? Anything?
Do you need a vote or an understanding?
I would appreciate a vote.
Okay.
This way I can go through and it'll be on the record that the council wants to proceed with the program.
Tom?
Can I ask another question first? In the write-up of the town's program, on the second page, it talks about the program running from 3/3/2021 through 12/1/2026, or as long as the grant funds are available. Does the grant funding potentially exceed that time limit, or is that time limited? Is it the shorter of the two?
It's the 2026 is the drop dead date. If we run out of money by 12/31/2023, it's over. We're not getting more money.
I know, but if we didn't run out of money.
It's
it would still drop dead at
12/26.
12/26, but it doesn't say that in that statement. I just wonder if we should add a comment at the end saying whichever is shorter, or whichever is sooner, or something like that.
Okay.
Just to make it clear. I don't know whether we have no idea how fast this money would go, right? So,
No, it all depends on who went already to the state, and we have some individuals who were very calling almost monthly or weekly, and they stopped calling. So I will have to reach out to them and see if they want back with the state money. But they were also calling Amy, who's DS representative, weekly and monthly as well, to find out what's going on.
but even still, if you just wanting a poet system isn't enough. You have to meet the
Requirements.
the criteria.
The criteria in our policy that we wrote, yes.
Because I know we had some questions. I'm sorry. I know we had some questions earlier about somebody wanting to get hooked up or reimbursed for hooking up, but their rates weren't lower than or weren't higher
Right.
than.
And it's the same thing. If you're not underneath the AGQS limits,
If you're not over the limits.
if
then
you're
you
not over
can't-
the limits,
you
if
can't
you're
apply.
under, if you're at 11, sorry. Right now, the state's at 12 until the state lowers it, which I don't know when they would be doing that, probably next legislation session. Right now, it's 12. So if you're under 12,
You're there. Yeah.
you're there.
Okay, thank you.
Nancy?
Go ahead. Just gonna make a motion?
Sure, and
Oh,
then you can
go right
speak.
ahead.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. I move that the town council approve forward movement with the Merrimack Private Well Owners PFAS Grant Program for reimbursement for the installation of a point of entry system, point of use system, or hookup to MBD public water as outlined when, in April? Was that when we?
April, yes.
As April, and with the amendment to the language to note that the reimbursement program will run from 3/3/2021 through 12/1/26 latest, or as long as the grant funds are available. Second.
Right. Motion by
Second.
Nancy and seconded by Nancy. You're a little late. Sorry, Lon.
I beat you.
Is there any
Question.
further discussion? Yes, Barbara.
Both of the programs are in existence right now. Shouldn't the motion be to continue forward with both programs? Because isn't that your real question?
No, the question is, the town has never, the governor and council, executive council of the state of New Hampshire has not approved our grant yet.
Okay, okay.
So this is to really give me permission
For the
that,
grant.
say, Amy put it on their agenda
To accept.
to get it to accept.
Okay. And Nancy, did you have anything?
No, I think we've discussed all the details and, thank you.
All right. There's no further discussion. I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstained? It's 600.
Thank you for the comparison, Paul.
And it was one page. So,
So I didn't pass it out.
yeah, I just need a mouse here so I can do a little control. No. I don't want to control those, just this one. I'm always touching the screen trying to get something to go. All right, next item is the July 14th, 2022 minutes. Nancy?
I'd like to move the acceptance of the Thursday, July 14th, Town Council meeting minutes as written, and I do have some corrections. Okay, the only one I found is page 2 of 9, line 49. But Councilor Healy was able to be present via phone to not avoid a quandary.
I know.
It was to meet quorum, in order to meet quorum. Even though we were in a
In a quandary.
quandary. And that's all I found. That's all I found.
All right. Tom?
A couple of really quick ones. The very first one is on page 1 at the very top where it's town council meeting agenda, it says, but it's really the meeting minutes. But we could
Minutes.
change agenda to minutes. I think I had another one. Let me look real quick. Nope, I didn't. That's it.
All right. Anything further? Barb? I didn't see your
Yeah,
hand, sorry about that.
Page 5, line 33. It's just really just a punctuation thing where it says, because they have a relationship with equipment supplier, should be a period. And then the finance department has approved them to be used as a supplier. If you read it all together, you lose kind of what they're talking about. And that was all about the fire
Mhm.
department having a supplier already in line that's been approved by the town for this type of
Right.
equipment.
Yep.
Sorry,
Very good.
Colin. Didn't have my mic on.
All right.
Okay.
Any further corrections? Seeing none?
Pretty
Who
minor.
seconded the motion?
I did.
Barbara did, okay. Thanks. All those all set?
Yep.
All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstained? 600. Comments from the press? Comments from the public? Comments from the council?
When was the last time we finished a meeting?
Go, Lon,
yet?
go.
Actually, would you like to speak, John? You might have to come over here.
Just turn it on.
Is the light on?
No, the button. There you go.
I have a question. I worked for the town of Merrimack for a few years prior to going in the military. Started at, I think it was 80 cents, I didn't think, I know it was 80 cents an hour, 90 cents an hour. Moved up all the way to $1, and then I got drafted. I think it was for less money. Even if it was more money, I would rather stay for the town. Thank you.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Thanks, Johnny. And I just, I don't know if this is something I should pass on, but I just want to say the Merrimack VFW Post 8641 has an information session that they're presenting on August 27th, 2022. It's open to the public from 12 until 4, Living with Trauma information session. So just wanted to pass that along as well.
Nice.
So is there any further comments? Seeing none? Dr. Woods?
You're waiting on me?
Yes, that's your job.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second by Lon, multiple seconds. I'll take Barbara's. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstained, 600. Thank you very much.
We all looked along.